we're seeing is, at least amongst my business community, is a lot of like people are just like, okay, where are we at? And usually it centers around when does school start. And so I feel like a lot of people are like, okay, where are we at in the summer? You know, because a lot of our client activities, whether or not we hear about it, their activities revolve around mid-August when kids go back to school. And now we're trying to figure out, okay, when is school happening? You know, are you going to do a staggered approach? I know here at LPS they're doing a staggered approach. So, you know, some kids will go back to school on Wednesday, some kids go back to school on Friday, and people are like, they don't know what day it is. It's just like they're trying to figure out where they are in the summer. Can I do a vacation? Can I not?
Yes.
Should I plan projects for that week? Should I plan to have that week off while my kids adjust? And so there's just a lot of crazy uncertainty out there. So the fact that you don't know what day it is, I think that's normal.
Okay, I'll take that.
I don't even know what day it is. All I know is I look at my calendar and I just follow it. I say, I am supposed to be here. If there was a spot on my calendar that says must walk off cliff at 2:00, I would be like, oh crap, that's coming right up. You know? And so like, you know, my calendar has largely revolved around not what day it is, but what appointment do I have? It's like, oh, I know I have an appointment with a director on Friday. Like, okay, well, that's the day after tomorrow. Like, you know, today I have the community update, and you know, I have deadlines. That's it. I don't know the day's Thursday. I just know that there's an event today.
I mean, yeah, it's gotten too crazy. I can't get my lighting and camera working today. So, anyway. All right.
Yeah, so I was just looking at I'm trying to pull up the agenda for today, because what I've been trying to go through with people is, due to the school picking up again, gosh dang it, we are seeing businesses kind of realize that, oh crap, we're over halfway through the year. I need to get things done. Even though everybody's still panicking about finance, everybody's trying to figure out, okay, how does this fall look for me as a business? And in the back of their mind, they're still trying to figure out, like, how does this fall look like for my kids? And even if you don't have kids, your employees are thinking about this. And so we're just trying to figure out how to be fluid. And that's the name of the game right now, is fluidity. I had a couple conversations with some of my teacher friends, and it's just triage is hard. And so not having certainty around what day it is or whether or not you're going back to school next week, just throws people for a loop. So the trick is, how do you plan for fluidity? Like, well, talk to your IT guys. That's pretty much every day of their life. You know, we complain about it a lot, because it's like, okay, I planned on building up this thing today, but then a fire started. You know, all right, so we adjust and we plan to build that thing tomorrow. We move a scheduled event to tomorrow so I can deal with the fire today. And then we say, okay, how do I keep that fire from happening again? Okay, well, I'm going to schedule that in for the next day. And so we are all about like adapting to things, because that's just our day. We are triage. We are in operations.
Yeah. And I think that's also where those project roadmaps really come in handy, is because if you get, you know, your organization and your clients used to looking at those project roadmaps, you're much more likely to tackle those projects earlier, which allows you to be able to adapt and be more fluid when those inevitable, you know, issues come along. So I think that's really good. And following up here on some comments from Mike Giovanni here in the comments, and he was using the QBRs, and it's generating that project work, and it's generating monthly recurring revenue. So way to go, Mike. Glad to hear that's working out with you. And
yeah, and you know, I might have to get a quote from you, because I've been trying to get everybody honest. It's not because I'm trying to find things for you guys to do. It's because this actually works. You know, the lessons learned QBRs are going to generate cash for people. And, you know, I'm trying to find a way. It's kind of like my wife telling me, Adam, you need to work out. And I know I do. I know I've got this big belly here. I'm 300 pounds and 6'6", you know. I have a lot of mass to move around. And I know it's true, but getting that basics down to just go out and work out, and then I feel so much better when I start working out again. And so Skip's kind of got me tucked into Taekwondo here, so that a bunch of people are going to see this big old fat guy sweating at Taekwondo. But I think it's going to work out well for me. And when I do it, I'm probably going to come back and go, "Oh my gosh, Skip, you were so right. It hurts, but I feel great." And it's the same thing with the strategic QBRs, the lessons learned QBRs. There is so much there that is going to help you generate revenue, and you're going to have a conversation around things that matter to your clients, and they're going to like, "Hey, you know, we really struggled with this thing," and you're going to say, "Oh, well, why don't we just do this?" Well, yeah, sure. And so today's topic is I just kind of want to use the here, let me I haven't done this, I haven't shared the fancy way in a long time here. I wasn't even prepped for it. There we go. Ready? All right, I can do this. Close my Facebook. I guess I don't want to see that. All right, so here we go. So it's really simple. You guys don't have to build anything new to do these lessons learned QBRs. It's already there. All you have to do is use the strategic QBR here, and you're done. You don't have to fill out the extra audits and do any of the extra stuff. All you're doing is you're going to focus on, you're going to put, instead of review last quarter's projects, this section here is going to be a lessons learned section. So you can go ahead and just like click in there and just change that to 15 minutes of lessons learned, and asking questions around like what we talked about a few weeks ago with standard portions of lessons learned. What went well? What didn't go well? What action items do we have? Those three things.
Let me jump in there. So here's one of the things that I'm a really practical guy. So, you know, maybe this will help somebody out. So one of the things that would jump in here was lessons learned is we learned that our clients are, you know, upside down, right? Throughout all of this. So anyway, I'm sorry, I've jumped a little ahead of myself there. So here is a lesson that I've learned with one of my clients we've been working with. So this is a personal connection for me. It's an engineering firm. It's a family connection. And so I'm able to deliver this service for them, and I'm really enjoying it. And, you know, one of the things that we're discovering is the challenges they have with their project management. And they need a project management solution really bad. And this recent, you know, pandemic has highlighted this even more, because they have this one client who, because of the COVID restrictions and, you know, just everything going on, they have pushed the final install in their project 3 times, 3 consecutive weeks. They've said, yes, you can have, you know, guys out on Monday, and then they come along Friday before that Monday and they go, no, and we can't do that. And it pushes and it pushes and it pushes. And so what they've learned is their clients, you know, can really jack with their schedule. They already knew that before, but here's something that really highlights it. And the solution, the fix for this, is a project management system. I mean, they need to invest in that. Now, here's the real beauty of that, is we're not just fixing a COVID-19 issue, right? They know that when they get this in place, it's going to make their entire business, whatever their new normal is, it's going to make it all so much better to have this project management system in place. So the lessons learned here is really a conversation about what's going on in their business. You're going to be able to highlight, you know, the big red flag things, the stuff that's just on fire or, you know, crumbling to pieces. Those are going to be real obvious once you have these conversations, and then you build out relatively simple solutions. I mean, for these guys saying, hey, you need a project management system, is not rocket science, man. I mean, I do not need, 30 years of IT experience to tell these people that, right? But I can do that really easy. I can sit down, we can show this out. We've got it on the project roadmap. I went in there, clicked the little plus. Now we got a little blue square, and now we're working towards it. We got other motions going on. And so now we get this going on. And when we're going to come back and we're going to fold this into all of our strategic practices. So we're going to come back and we're going to do a review and an annual process, and we'll say, hey, we helped you guys get the project management system in place. How's that working? Now, if we're managing that along the way, it's going to be working great, and we're going to get lots of accolades. And if it's not working great, we'll get some feedback and we can make some changes. And at the end of the day, we will be able to help these people deliver a project management solution that makes their business better, and we're part of that. And so that's really, where we want to see you guys, and, we're constantly encourage you guys to get in that role. And so I put that one out there for you guys because I know I get some feedback sometimes in our coaching sessions about the strategic stuff. How do we have those conversations? What do those really look like? There's a practical example, okay? We just took something, it was really obvious, it was really on fire. I mean, it's like the giant smoke signal, on the horizon. It's like, that's it. And we talked about it, we came up with simple solutions. But where we're driving with this now is a strategic response that positions technology to help the organization out. Wham, bam, we're done. Everybody wins. And you can, and that's just one. That's just one thing that falls. And once you get into this routine of having these conversations, of tackling the challenges in their business, not tackling the challenges of limited DIMM slots in their servers. That's not, where we need to be. Let's focus on the challenges of their business. Then we'll see some real differences. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
No, that's perfect. Is, because that's real world examples. And that's what I struggle with most, like when I'm talking to people about how to generate more revenue via QBRs. We all know it's a great idea, but until you actually see it happen, you're like, crap, I did not know it was going to be this effective. And, skipping onto this firsthand, and it's like, we've seen the light and we're trying to share that with everyone else. And, what I really want people to do is just try it. Just do it once, do it twice, see what happens. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And that's that's always been our take at Virtual C. Have a conversation with us, run the action item. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. Cancel the subscription, walk away. It's just Kool-Aid that somebody was selling and you drank it once and you don't want any of that anymore. Yep. But we really believe in this stuff. This is stuff that works for us. I built my company on conversations with clients, and I want you to do the same thing. And
if you guys have some challenges with some of these things to implement them, come to us. So, Adam's try it sort of deal. So let's roll the calendar back a few years, and I'm a client of Adam's, all right? And he's telling me, Skip, you need to do these SWOT analysis. I'm looking at that going, SWOT, really? I don't know. And, he keeps encouraging me, do it. And so I call up again, and I'm apparently a little connected. I didn't think I was, but, realized, hey, I do have some connections. So this is another business. And I call them up and go, hey, I'm doing some of this consulting IT work, and I've got this new, engagement that we're working with. I'm thinking it may be really successful. Can I come out to you guys and do a SWOT analysis? I'll buy you lunch. And it was unbelievable. I mean, it was an incredibly productive event. And I had to work up to it. I mean, I found them the other day or a few weeks ago. I found the videos that I'd made of myself practicing setting up for that SWOT analysis. And so, get in there, try those. If you're struggling with those, hit Adam and I up. We're glad to help out on those. We've been through these challenges. And we understand, and I was director of operations for an MSP for many years. I know, I've hired a lot of your what is essentially your coworkers, right? So I know that skill set that we all kind of have sometimes to some extent, and what it takes to leverage that in the conference room. So we're glad to share that, and we really, really want to get you guys, geared up and running with these exercises.
Yeah, and again, what else? Speaking of SWOT, you can see up here, like when I do my 3 items up here for my lessons learned, what went well, what didn't go well, what action items do we have? Should look familiar for a SWOT exercise person. The SWOT methodology can be rinsed, repeated, and used. It's not a secret. It's not a Adam's 2 tricks to better business. It's just something that works, and simple is good. And so when you go into those lessons learned, just think about, talk to them about something that went well. The reason for this, if you look at any kind of how to have better meetings, they're always going to say, start off on a positive note. That's your strengths. What didn't go well? Okay, let's go into this, because people are going to whine and complain. We're IT guys. People love to complain to us about what's going wrong. And then finally, like, you end the conversation with, okay, what do you want me to do about it? And so they feel heard and they feel empowered. And that is a standard mechanic. Use this with your kids at home. Yeah. What was the best part of your day? What was the hardest part of your day? What can I do to make your day tomorrow go better? You can use these mechanics in a lot of different things, these active listening skills, whatever you do. It just comes down to making sure that you're covering the bases with your clients. And with the lessons learned, this is only 15 minutes, really. I mean, you can make this the whole entire hour, but like basically you're coming up with the lessons learned, what didn't go well, and then you can make the next 15 minutes about what do you want me to do next. And here are opportunities coming up this next quarter. So you're talking about yesterday and you're talking about tomorrow. And so the problem is a lot of your clients are going to be really tight on cash right now. And, we saw, what was it, a 9% dip in the economy, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
In April, in the spring. That should be shocking to you who spend your time looking at economics, because we dropped 4% all of the recession. So this is why people are nervous. But we also have a Band-Aid on things with the CARES Act, and potentially more cash coming up to help schools and help people adapt. And again, I'm a broken record here. Can you guess what those dollars are going to be used for? It could be technology initiatives.
Absolutely.
Help companies and schools afford distributed and more flexible technology. Things that you know by heart. Getting people into the cloud, getting them into more dynamic situations. So it doesn't matter if they're in a brick and mortar or at home, their behavior doesn't change. Years ago, I made the switch personally from Outlook to Gmail. Why did I do that? One is because at the time, Gmail is far superior to Outlook. Gmail Web anyways, OWA sucked at the time. And OWA has come a long ways. However, I loved Outlook. I loved everything about Outlook. But having lost a laptop to a river once, terrible biking accident, and having lost laptops to shocks. I have literally shocked a laptop to death. If you listen to our podcast, you should know that story. Arc this long, from my finger to that laptop. Getting tired of building new laptops and new PCs, I wanted a PC that was completely resilient, that if my laptop caught on fire, I could be back up and running in a half an hour. The amount of time it took me to go find a new laptop and power it up. And so you already know how to do this stuff. You know how to get people not dependent on one location, how to get people 100% cloud-based, how to get people into processes. But you need to learn their processes, and you sit down and listen to their story so you can translate it into technology. Sometimes you cannot translate it into technology that's going to work. And if you're in a manufacturing world, it's really hard to grab a hose reel and wind it up from your house. You got to be on site.
Yeah.
However, a lot of white collar jobs can be converted into work at home, and you can set policies around this, and you can help them with procedures and safe ways of working from home. And you guys have the answers to those questions, but you have to figure out what your client needs so that you can help them come with a solution. And that's where this roadmap comes in. And so your clients, to get back to what I was saying earlier, are really apprehensive about their finances for the next probably 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
However, we know that because of the CARES Act and because some of these new bills coming in, that there will be more funding being made available for technology initiatives. Or your clients are going to say, I need to pull out a loan from the SBA to make my business successful again.
Well,
And what
I
you
mean,
want to
it
do
is.
is you want to have a roadmap in front of them, even if it's not this year. Maybe
Yes.
throw out, a remote desktop into 2020, or sorry, 2021. And so getting it out there and onto the road, out there a few, like even a year, but putting it on the roadmap, saying, hey, you need to have this done. You've already bought into it. Just don't make it planned. Just recommend it. And then you can move it into approved. And when it's been approved, it's like, hey, we're going to continue to talk about this idea. And when you guys have dollars available, you can even put over here in 21, 2021, April 2021, it's going to cost $10,000 to do this project. And so you have it out there. It's been approved. They want to do it. They just don't have the money right now. Get it on the list. So when they do have cash, or when they're looking for a way to spend maybe some stimulus dollars, that they have this in front of them. So
let me throw another little practical here. Mike, I know you'll remember this because you're old like me. But for some of you guys, you started in IT in the 2000s, right? And so you'll have to dig around and find somebody who was doing IT in the 90s, specifically the late 90s, and much more specifically the last quarter of 1998. You're welcome, Mike. He said thanks for inviting.
The year at the quarter I went to college.
There you go. See, and so the Q4 of 1998 is when it started, and then all of 1999 was this mad spending spree on Y2K compliant stuff. All right, and it was, back then though, it was all centered around versions of software that are compliant and chipsets that were also compliant. So it was very product driven. Our drivers today are going to be solution based. Okay, we need a cloud solution. We need a remote access solution. We need an updated, more robust security solution. But again, it's going to be a spending spree. Now, it's probably because we don't have a drop dead date coming up on the calendar, so we are going to see a lot more squishiness. But again, let me offer a little context here. In 1999, I was working for an oil and gas company. And so, you guys know I'm from Texas, and our, economy goes up and down a lot, based on oil and gas. Well, it was a funny move in my life at that time, but I went to work for this oil and gas company when oil was just a hair under $10 a barrel. All right. So, friends and family were looking at me, telling me, Skip, you're nuts. I mean, you're just going in. And at that time, that was about
back
the
then,
lowest.
$10 a gallon is like $100 today. I mean, it's so long ago.
$10 a barrel. No, it wasn't that long ago. And so, it was, at that point, it was one of the lowest times in history. And so that whole year, this oil and gas company, albeit large, is in a severely impacted economic situation. However, because the Y2K issue was so prevalent and such a near-term need, they spent money like crazy on it that entire year. And your clients now, they may be in some cash constrained situations. However, the current economy and the current marketplace are making it a requirement for them to embrace the new normal that's coming down the hill for everybody, and they're going to be spending money on it. How much and who they spend that money with is going to be largely influenced by you. So jump out there, take the opportunity. I'm glad Adam brought this roadmap up here, because I really do think this is a great way. He mentioned with the using 2021 as just putting it out there. I did that. I actually did that with a client a few weeks ago, and they looked at a solution. They were like, we just paid for the one that we have now. I don't know if we're ready to move. And I made it a no confrontation sort of issue. I went, great, no problem. I hit the little arrow button up there. We cycled out to the quarter just before the software solution they have expired. And I said, we'll put this on the calendar for them. And they were like, oh, that's great. Yeah, I think we need to do that then. All of a sudden, they're on board. And as you do this with all of your clients, or at least your A and B groups of clients, and you do this with all of their projects, what you're going to find is this huge portfolio of projects that you have to work with. And all of a sudden, you're going to have tools at your disposal. You're going to have options to manage your project revenue rather than getting in the yo-yo cycle of, boom and bust, trying to get all your projects done. You'll have some more control over that. So it's going to really be a huge benefit for your business, your revenue stream, to really leverage these project roadmaps. All right, that's it.
I saw a look of silence hang out there.
I can just beat that horse, over and over and over again. But sometimes we just got to re-say that. Yeah, and that I'm even looking at creating an ad campaign. I started a new ad campaign on Facebook, and maybe I'll do one on LinkedIn as well and test the two out. But people are desperate for answers right now, and IT is where it's at. We've always been there. Sometimes we create problems. Example, Y2K. But most of the time we are here solving problems that people didn't even know existed. And people are like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Every time I tell stories, I've got like 100 of them, where I tell a story like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, that's really cool. And taking a business process and making it so efficient that people are able to make more money. And they realized that's what IT was for. And in fact, we have a podcast scheduled to be recorded on. And if anybody wants to join in on this podcast, I would be happy to hear some more words on this. But when did IT lose focus? When did we move into operations and out of business solution processing? When did that happen? It happened sometime after Y2K. I don't know if it was like towards 2005 when, everybody came about the iPhone and it became about the shiny new thing, or if it was before that with because BlackBerries were super practical, and then the iPhones came out and it was all about shiny things. And from then on, it's like, what's the next shiny thing? So when did we become all about operations? Well, let's blame Apple. I like to blame Apple.
Of course, everybody likes to blame Apple. They're the punching bag out there.
Yeah.
If you, I think one of my favorite, to be political here just for a second, my favorite memes is everybody's so worried about being, having Bill Gates inject us with the vaccine chip when we already sold all of our private information to Apple years ago with our iPhones.
Apple's already got one and you bought it.
We don't have to give you one. You already paid $1,000 for it and carry it around happily.
Yes, I like that one.
And so the conversation becomes, when did IT become about operations and not about business productivity? And you want to change your MSP to be more about business productivity. That's why you're going to do a lessons learned. You're going to schedule one today after this call, and you're going to go, Adam was right. And feel free to ship me a bottle of your favorite scotch to 1701 Windhoek, Lincoln, Nebraska, 68512. And you can say, Adam was right. And Skip was right. And we know that you are struggling as MSPs to figure out what's next. Well, what's next is you now need to become a business solution provider. You need to help people who are panicking to learn their lessons from, hey, you didn't have a disaster recovery plan in April, and now you learned why they're important. So let's figure out what this means for your company.
That's it.
And here is a project roadmap that I suggest for you to move you from an on-prem company to somebody who could work in Alaska, California, sit on a beach, drink a Mai Tai, do your work. That is what you want to aim for. And so here's the roadmap that's going to get you to that. Now, you're going to have to come up with policies. You're going to have to come up with work schedules. You're going to have to come with productivity monitors. I mean, there's all sorts of things that they're going to do from a business standpoint. But when they start saying, hey, Skip, we can't work remote because of this. And Skip can go back and go, well, yeah, you can. You need a time card system is all you need. And there are a million of them out there. Let's go bid one out. You, as an MSP, may not have a time card system, but you sure as heck have a BS meter when it comes to project management and IT.
There you go.
I helped a client, was it 2 years ago now? I helped them figure out a new check-in system for a daycare. Do you think I know anything about running a daycare or how to do child safety protocols? I know how to keep my own children alive, just barely. And so
I've seen the videos. I can testify to that.
Testify that my children. I mean, it's my children are going to do something stupid. It's more of like, wait for me to get my phone out first. Anyways, the point is that I didn't know anything about check-in, check-out systems. All I knew was the one they were currently using was end of life, and they needed to find a new one. And so we put one out to bid. And I pulled up the BS flag on a couple of them saying, no, these guys are overpromising. And, you know, this guy is somewhat legit. And I looked him up and I did my research just like I would with any other web-based company. And they end up dropping, you know, $5,000 on this new solution. And they paid me money to help them decide that. And I probably saved them $10,000 all in all by the end of the day, because they didn't put one of these magic bullet solutions in place and then have to rip it out 6 months later because it didn't know what to do what they meant to, or it was too complicated for them.
Yep.
We got them the right solution. We got them to think through it, and we move forward. I still don't know much about check-in, check-out systems, but I know a lot more than I did before. I relied on my client to handle that portion. They handle the business processes. I handle the technology overview.
Yes, your clients are the subject matter experts in this. You're the technology expert. But when it comes to your business, your clients are the subject matter experts. So, you know, you're getting two experts together to come up with a solution. You're providing the technology, they're providing the business. Together, y'all can create an unbelievable solution. You don't have to have all the answers. I want to make sure you guys know that. I want to relieve that burden from you right now. You do not have to have all the answers. And, you know, it's a little phrase that I use when I meet, especially with key stakeholders and these guys, you know, at the executive level. And sometimes they'll look at you and go, well, what's the right thing to do here? And I tell them the right answer is the one we come up with, you know, because there's a million different things that we can do here. And so I tell them, you know, we just need to figure this out. As leaders, we need to set direction. We're always going to be able to come back and go, you know, if we would have done this rather than that, you know, the outcomes would have been different. Yes, that's always going to happen. But what businesses, at least I can say this, okay, with a great deal of certainty, when it comes to technology, businesses usually don't make a decision. They react. All right. Something happens, the market, their environment, their employees, something happens and it causes an action. And when we can shift our clients away from that reactionary to planning and making what become the right decisions, we're gonna have a much greater chance of success. All right. Because when we don't do anything, all right, our chance of success is zero. Right? We're just going to get what's handed to us. And so even if we go out and we make the right solution, what we think is the right solution, but it's only 70% right. Well, that's 70% more than nothing. So get out there, and again, you don't have to be the expert. Work with your customers, help lead in the technology decisions of their organization.
Yeah, and so I was going to show you guys on the project schedule over here. Every once in a while somebody asks me about service cards. Like, well, what if they have a project that I don't have a service card for? Like, one, you could make one for it, or, you know, in the middle of the project, find one that's close.
Yes.
you know, with let's say that time card or the check-in checkout system for, you know, my clients. The great thing is recently they changed the tool to allow us to edit these cards. So I'm adding VCIO needs assessment. I'm going to go ahead and go into the sucker, and I'm going to change it to check-in. And then I'm going to change everything. I'm just going to go ahead and add the bullet items on here, and, you know, creating I actually have a better one in here for project management, but I would just change the project management one. This is a project, general wording here. I'm going to help you bid it out. I'm going to help you do things. And here are the things we're going to do. And so you put that on there, and now you have a project. When are you going to do that? We're going to do that in January 2021. Done.
And all of a sudden, too, I'll go ahead and interject this. You know, that project, naming that project, give it a little bit of thought. Don't name it, you know, the new software tool. Don't name it, you know, mag card check, you know, right? Because that's what we want to do, you know, some sort of barcode reader. That's not it. It's just that. It's a check-in, check-out system, all right? And when you do that, now you're aligning, in the simplest of terms, you're aligning the business need with the technology solution, right? So make sure your name's on those as you go through, again, with your clients, and you're talking about this. What does your client refer to this as? What do they keep calling it? What's the big, you know, problem that they're going to fix? That's the name you put on the project roadmap. Makes huge differences in how you handle that with your clients.
You want to be able to walk in there and don't say Microsoft Teams implementation, you know, say collaboration software, whatever is friendly to them, so that today you're doing a lessons learned, and in 2 months you're doing your standard QBR, and you bring up this project roadmap again, and you show people that you're going to be doing a collaboration tool install, or remote office software. Call it what they see it as. They don't know it's Microsoft Teams. They know it's that remote. They know it's the blue icon. You know, I mean, honestly, like when we wanted people to switch, that was a funny story. Is way back when we wanted to switch people over to Mozilla, we just switched the icon to point from Internet Explorer to Mozilla. We created a new blue E icon because that was the internet icon. They didn't know it was Internet Explorer. They just knew that was the internet. I click on the blue E, I get to the internet. So talk with them and be okay with it, because that's what's going to sell. They're going to pay $10,000 for the blue E. They're not going to pay $10,000 for an unfamiliar red and blue icon.
Yeah.
And that is a lesson I learned like 18 years ago, people. So having a friendly name up there. So even if they're not buying into it now, they know it's $10,000 for this project, but instead of saying enabling multi-factor on firewalls, keep bad guys out. Now that may be a little too simple, but you know what I'm saying there. Keep bad guys out. It'll cost you $10,000. Enable multi-factor on firewalls. They don't know what multi-factor on firewalls means. They know keeping bad guys out is good.
There you go.
You know, and but depending on your client relation, it could be something simple, and it could be fun for them to see that, but also be professional about it. Make it something, compliance standards on external firewalls, or something that they understand, it speaks their language. And when you do that, you're going to have more projects that are going to generate more revenue, and you're going to enjoy walking into that office more, because you're always going to have a list of things that they want. And it's just a matter of when do they have that funding available. And that funding should start becoming available as the CARES Act matures more. There's still a lot of cash in the CARES Act that has not been released, that is reserved, that is earmarked for things like education and technology improvements to businesses. I assume that those will be subsidized loans, or that they'll be outright grants to cover X, Y, and Z. And you want your client to have that list ready to go for when those come out. So remember how fast the PPP dollars went? The grant dollars for distributed workforce are going to go just as fast. And your clients are going to be prepared for those times, because they're going to have a project list right in front of them. So when they go apply for the grant dollars, they're going to say, I'm going to use it for this, this, and this, and this, and I need $150,000. And they're going to get approved first.
Yep.
And
That's it.
guess who gets all that cash? It's your project revenue. And now they get a distributed workforce with multiple monitors at home, standardized docking stations and setups for each of their home offices for employees who are ready for it. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
So your action item this week is to have a conversation around lessons learned. You can do this via a Zoom meeting like this, or you can do it in person, depending on how your social distancing is working in your location, how you feel comfortable. The important part is to help your client feel valued, give them something to look forward to. And even if you have a really nice advanced setup like this, it might be a good time to show it off. People meet with me and like, how are you doing that? All these backgrounds I have here, I shot myself when I went to Yellowstone. So as you're seeing things shift, these aren't ones I had to buy. I just took my iPhone and I held it steady on a rock and took a 20-second video, and it just shifts between them. These are all places I visited. So this becomes another conversation topic with my clients. So use the virtual setup to shine and show them what is possible.
I hope I get to go here.
Use Teams to deliver this stuff. Show them that, hey, if you were in Teams, you could be pulling in people into meetings, you could have better conversations, and look how great your workplace could be. So these lessons learned, get one scheduled now. I'm going to keep putting that in the weekly email as your action item until you guys start doing it, because it's cash. It's just waiting there for you to grab. Your clients want to give it to you. You want it. You want the project revenue. Just go get it.
Yep, there you go.
I think that's all I have for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to coaching@virtualc.biz. And we're happy to meet with you. It's the summer lull for us too, so we have more time on our calendar. So take advantage of that. You are HIT members. You can get one-on-ones with Skip and I anytime as long as our calendars are open.
Sounds great.
All right. Well.